In this video, we are going to learn some of the ways we can use our keyboard instead of the mouse to perform our work more quickly and efficiently. And the things that we're going to learn here are not all specific Excel concepts, but are true across the entire Office suite, including programs like Word and PowerPoint. What typifies a keyboard shortcut is that we press more than one key at the same time. And commonly, we use modifier keys like Control, Shift, and Alt, or in fact a combination of them, together with the other keys. A simple example of this is pressing the letter B on your keyboard types out a B. When we hold down the Control key and press B, that applies a bold format. Can you see that the Control button has modified the command that typing out the letter B actually performs? So let's have a look at a few examples. We can perform quick formatting using shortcuts like Control Shift and 1, which provides thousand separators and decimals, Control Shift 3 for dates, Control Shift 4 for currency, 5 for percentage, and the list goes on. Other common ones that you might already know include Control C for copy, Control V for paste, Control X for cut, and once again we can use Control V for paste. Again, the important principle is that we are using a modifier key to change the way that other buttons normally work. And then we have more obscure shortcuts. For example, selecting entire rows or columns using Control and the spacebar for an entire column, or Shift and the spacebar for an entire row. Or even removing all the borders within cells using Control, Shift, and minus. The point is not to memorize all of these shortcuts. You will eventually learn all of them through practice and through noting them when they appear while watching a video. The only exception to this idea of pressing multiple buttons at the same time are the F or function keys that you find at the top of your keyboard. Sometimes just pressing these buttons on their own are great shortcuts. An example of this is simply hitting F5, which brings up the Go To dialog box, or F7, which brings up spell check. And now we need to contrast a keyboard shortcut to a keyboard keystroke. And the key difference is that with a keystroke, we press the keys one at a time in sequence, and that sequence is always initiated by pressing and then releasing the Alt key. If you actually just do this, press and release the Alt key, you will notice a range of numbers and letters which appear on your screen, and the Alt key triggers those on and off. We could follow the prompts that appear on the screen to initiate any of the commands that are available on our QAT or on the ribbon. So let's have a look at an example of removing a full color. I'm going to press Alt as the trigger and release it. And then because I know I want to get to the full pot, I need to press H for home. Once I release, I notice a brand new list of letters that appear. And I can see that the full pot has the letter H. And now to apply no fill, I can use the letter N. So as you can see, I've pressed each of those keys one at a time in sequence. In QuickTime, to do that again, it was Alt HHN. Let's have a look at a few more examples. Adding a new row or column, which is a very common Excel task. I can press Alt, H for home, I for insert, and R for row, or Alt, H, I, and C for column. And at this point, it's worthwhile mentioning that there are also some legacy keystrokes which still exist from prior versions of Excel. And adding new rows and columns are a good example of this, because in Excel 2003, you could simply hit Alt and I for insert, followed by R or C for row or column. But as you'll notice, we get this tooltip which appears, and it says continue typing the menu key sequence from an earlier version of Excel, or just press Escape. So Microsoft have made sure that these older keystrokes are still available, so that people who became proficient in Excel many years ago are still able to use their favorite keystrokes. So we could also add new rows or columns by simply hitting Alt, I for insert, R for row, or Alt, I, and C for column. And those are two very easy to remember keystrokes. and there is really no limit to the keystrokes that you can actually perform. Another one of my favorites is auto-fitting the column width, and I use the legacy keystroke of Alt-O-C-A, or you could use Alt-H, followed by O for format, followed by I for auto-fit the column width. Now again, it might seem overwhelming, but believe me that after attempting a few of these for your favorite commands, those sequences will be ingrained in your mind, and you will simply remember them when it comes time to use them. You certainly don't need to sit and learn an entire list off by heart. So to conclude, the fundamental difference between keyboard shortcuts and keystrokes is that shortcuts we press more than one key at the same time. With keystrokes, we press one key at a time in sequence. So hopefully these concepts will give you the tools that you need to become really efficient using your keyboard instead of your mouse. We'll see you in the next video.